Thank you all for joining us again. We're so appreciative to have you all. There's a million other things you all could be doing, but you decided to join us for this hour. So thank you so much. You all are in for a really great discussion with some really great people. We're going to have a lot of fun. We have stories to tell. We have interactivity for you. We basically have everything that you would need to make your Thursday the best Thursday possible. So thank you for making the choice to be here today. We appreciate it. We thank you. Can't wait to get started. So while the last couple people start trickling in, I'm going to go over some of the Zoom functionalities. Again, my name is Auburn Smith. I'm the social media and content specialist today. You are going to be joining a great discussion from two awesome panelists that I'm going to introduce shortly. But again, let's go through some Zoom items. If you notice at the lower portion of your screen in the Zoom webinar, you'll see the chat functionality. Press that and you can type to all the panelists as well as all the other attendees in the chat box. Feel free to give thumbs up or positive feedback on any points that you're really interested in, or even just any comments that you think is relevant to the discussion. We would love to hear that. If you have any questions, right next to that chat box function, you will see Q&A. Please submit any questions that you have throughout the presentation in the Q&A box, and we will answer that at the end or on a rolling basis. Myself and Alex Rivas, who is the marketing manager, will be fielding your questions. So please, please, please ask away. We love questions. We're lifelong learners here. So other than those two things, kick back and enjoy, and hopefully you all have your listening ears on. So I will go ahead and introduce our two speakers today. Our first speaker, who will be introducing our other speaker, is Aaron Schwartzberg, COO of Learning Tribes. And then we will also have our learning curation expert as well as director of solutions, Ashley Tolentino. And we are so excited to have them here today, and they are looking forward to talking to you. So today's webinar, Are You Learning for Life? Choosing the right training for the skills you need, the antidote, curated content, and lifelong learning. We're so appreciative. Again, I cannot just express my appreciation for you all. I know I've said that a million times, but really and truly, thank you so much for signing up. And this recording will be sent to you all after the webinar, so you will have this for a reference. So for those of you all who, again, are trickling in, our presenters today will be Aaron Schwartzberg, COO of Learning Tribes, and Ashley Tolentino, Curation Expert and Solutions Manager at Learning Tribes. So enough of my angelic voice. I will go ahead and pass the ball to you, Aaron.
Auburn, thank you so much. I think probably the hardest thing I'll do today is matching your enthusiasm and energy, but we're going to do our best. So thank you so much for the kickoff. Guys, I want to welcome everyone today. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. This is part 2 of our 3-part webcast series. Part 1, which was led by our CEO, Philippe Riveron, was last Thursday, and that was a focus on where is training taking you, L&D trends revisited. This week, Ashley and I are going to be focused on Are You Learning for Life, with an intense focus on curation and lifelong learning. We're going to delve into that. We're going to field questions throughout the entirety of our presentation. We'll also do a formal Q&A session at the end. Please be responsive to what we're discussing. Send us questions that you have. We want this to be interactive. We want to hear from you. We want you to challenge what we're presenting, and we want to be able to talk through it in a collaborative manner. So we look forward to interacting with you during the entirety of the presentation today. Next week, looking out to next week, we have episode number 3. It will be the conclusion of our webcast series, Training for the New Normal, with an intense focus on learning experience solutions. It's going to be led by Christian Rivera, one of our directors of solutions, incredibly bright, knowledgeable, engaging individual who's going to capture everything that needs to be discussed related to learning experience solutions and platforms. So really excited for you to be joining us today. Thank you. And one thing that I really want to focus on is something that is core to Learning Tribe's DNA, and something that you'll see as a theme throughout today's presentation. But really, if you engage with our organization at any level, you'll understand that learning never stops. It's something that we all need to understand. We all need to feel. Growth is something that doesn't happen without learning. So the more that we can foster learning, the more that we can elevate learning and support learning initiatives, the more we're going to continue to grow as individuals and as representatives of our organizations. So keep that theme throughout in the back of your mind as we continue the dialogue today. Learning never stops. So moving to content curation, the subject of the day. So content curation, you hear curation a lot in the media, you hear a lot of it in marketing. It means different things in different industries, but if you really drill down, the most concise definition that we were able to find that really captures everything that needs to be touched upon as it pertains to content curation within the sphere and elements of learning and development is that it's an exercise to continually find, filter, and share the most relevant content on specific topics. It's the act of discovering, gathering, and presenting digital content that surrounds specific subject matter. It's become a popular term in many different industries, verticals, and functions, and functions as such differently. But one element that is consistent throughout, regardless of what you're looking at, whether it's different industries, different verticals, different functions, it's the filtering of content to make sure that you're finding the best, most applicable, most pertinent content to get the right information in front of the right learners at the right time. That's what we're going to be covering today as it pertains to content curation. So one thing that we want to touch upon now, which we're going to revisit at the end of the presentation, but we really want this to sink in, it's a little staggering. People searching for information, when you look at what the average employee does throughout the course of a week, I don't think many people are fully aware of the fact that the average employee spends about 1.8 hours every day, which equates to about 9.3 hours per week on average, searching for and gathering information. So let that sink in for a second. That means that about 23% of each employee's time is spent searching for and gathering information. Now, if we had the ability to put that information into a platform that was easy to navigate, easy to search, where the functionality allowed people to very easily navigate different types of media that they were looking for, types of content, duration of content, and get that in front of them, we could significantly and impactfully reduce that amount of time that's spent searching for and gathering information. Remember this slide because we're going to come back to it and we're actually going to put a dollar amount to it and we're going to see what the financial impact is to organizations. Not only just the impact that you're having from a work product perspective being diminished because of time spent, but the actual dollars and cents, the financial figures behind what it's costing your organizations by having your employees take this time to search for and gather information. So we'll come back to this. Next, the value of curation. We're going to quantify it throughout the presentation. We're going to field your questions. We're going to talk about your questions, and we're going to put some value around curation. One thing that we want you to be thoughtful about is that curation helps learners gain access to valuable information, not just any information, but valuable, pertinent information that helps to foster growth and cultivate a culture of lifelong learning in the workplace. It's not enough that as an individual, you have a passion for curation, for learning, for growth, but really all of our organizations should foster that. It's something that's important and key to Learning Tribes, not only in our US office, but all throughout the world, in our other offices as well, in Shanghai, Paris, and Sao Paulo as well. But really every organization should really be fostering and supporting that lifelong learning feeling and element in the workplace. And that's something that we're going to harp on throughout the entirety of the presentation today. So what is the curation process? What does that look like? So first, content needs to be found. So that's the first step. What do we use now? We use Google, we use different search engines. People reference books. There are different types of media that are used to find information, but it's not enough to find the information. We have to go through a multitude of processes to ensure that the information that's found is accurate, it's up to date, and it's pertinent to the exact intended use and outcome that each individual learner is searching for it for. So after the find process, then we have to filter. Once we filter, it's then still not enough. We have to grade. We have to be able to show and quantify the quality of what has been filtered. It's not enough just to filter it. We have to grade it. Once it's graded, it then has to be synthesized. We can't boil the ocean. We can't learn everything about a particular topic. It needs to be found, it needs to be filtered, it needs to be graded, and then it needs to be synthesized. There's a contribution element that we're going to get to throughout the entirety of the presentation as well, and that we're going to focus on as it pertains to EdFlex, which is our learning curation platform. So we're going to focus on that. And then also guide. How do we guide the process within curation to make sure that we're allowing others to learn how to learn themselves? So these are elements that we're going to focus on throughout the entirety of the presentation. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through 3 stories. These 3 stories are going to follow 3 fictitious individuals, and you're going to see how these stories are impacted by content curation. The disclaimer, our legal department wants us to throw out there, the characters and events depicted in this story are fictitious. Any similarity to what you are going through is purely coincidental. So we just wanted to throw that out there as well. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to hand it over to Ashley Tolentino, who is our solutions manager and who has very quickly become one of our in-house, one of our foremost experts with learning curation. She supports our clients with our learning curation platform, but she's become an expert in learning curation. So now I'm going to pass it off to Ashley, who's going to walk you through these 3 different scenarios with these 3 different individuals to depict how learning curation, content curation impacts them. So Ashley, over to you.
All right, thanks, Aaron. And thank you, everyone, for joining. It's a pleasure to have you. So as Aaron noted, I'm going to go through 3 stories today. The first is Silver Lining. The second will be Out of Touch, and the third is On Your Mark. And we will also have some interactive activities throughout that. So starting with Silver Lining. So we have Mandy. She's 32 years old, and she coordinates all the events for an international hotel chain. She's been managing events for more than 5 years, and she absolutely loves it. She thinks this is what she's going to do for her entire life. This is her team, super creative, very enthusiastic. They watch football together on weekends, and they have a really great relationship. Then we have Corona, which occurred. So 2 weeks after she was sent home to work remotely, she was put on furlough. So this is something I know many have experienced. Her husband tries to cheer her up and shares more about a platform that he's using at work called EdFlex. She's a little bit hesitant, but he asks her to at least take a look at the platform. So he walks her through the platform, shows her a little bit about the learning curation platform. So she can search for content that she needs. It's all in one place. She can search by different topics, different categories. She can look at videos, articles, podcasts, depending on how she likes to learn. She can do a course from Harvard, a course from Stanford. So really different types of resources are available at her fingertips when she wants them. After a few days, Amanda decides that she's ready to learn something new. She makes a list of some ideas that she might want to try out, and she uses the EdFlex platform. So first, Amanda starts looking at something very different from what she wants to do. She just is looking for a challenge and wants to try something different. So she looks into being a rocket scientist, but decides that's not quite the right fit. Then she looks at ways to start her own bakery. So managing a store with her husband might not be such a good idea. But she finds some videos, podcasts, and articles about how to manage a bakery. Amanda also loves fashion, so why not try turning her hobby into a business? So she finds resources related to fashion management and business management. Then finally, she really hones in on something that she loves doing, and she starts looking at video production. So 7 videos, 6 articles, 2 podcasts, 3 courses, and 2 certifications later, Amanda is ready and confident to present the new business proposition to her employers. So moving forward, she's going to start managing a video production venture. And this is thanks to all of the things that she learned with the learning curation platform. So she's skilling up and leveraging that to push her career forwards. Our new business partners are very impressed, and she begins a new company focused on those skills that she leveraged while she was on furlough. So now I'm going to invite Auburn to come back and join me, and we are going to do an interactive activity. Auburn, if you want to take it away, and I am going into that activity now.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back. It's me again. All right. So if everybody wants to copy and paste that link that was just put in the chat, it'll bring you to our activity in Mural. So as you all start coming into the Mural, you'll notice that the anonymous animals at the bottom are different people. You can find out which animal is yours by looking in the lower left corner. So basically what this is a little map, and what you're going to do is you're going to place your current training needs based on level of importance and difficulty to execute. So we have some pre-written post-it notes on the left. In order to zoom, for those of you who have a mouse, you can use the little rolly ball on your mouse. You can press Control+ and Control- to zoom in or zoom out. Or the third option is, if you notice in the lower right-hand corner, you'll have your standard zoom in and zoom out options. But if you want, go ahead and click, drag and drop some of those post-it notes. Whoa, you all are eager to skill up. I love it. So if you want to go ahead and drag and drop some of those post-it notes, you can do so. At the bottom, you'll notice some blank post-it notes for those who are feeling extra crafty and creative. You can click, type, drag and drop, and place it on the map. So as most of you all can see, or you're doing, we have professional impact. Whoa, someone's getting wild. You'll see professional impact on the left. So if it's a high impact skill for you, but maybe a low duration of time to acquire that skill, you're gonna wanna put it closer to the left and lower to the bottom. If it's a high impact, and it's going to take you a while, you're going to want to move that further to the right. So since there's no sporting events, let me just dive in here. Everyone's being pretty quick. I'm loving the people who are just so eager to grab the whole map. I appreciate that, really. So I see there's a lot of skills that people think would have a high impact on their professional career, and it wouldn't take them that long to skill up. Some of those included deal making, punctuality. Ooh, punctuality, even at home, it can be rough. Let's see, we have Anonymous Bird, who I think just dropped people management, not 100% sure. Anonymous Snail, moving around, seeing what else is left. And again, you all can type in some of your skills or things that you might be interested in those post-it notes at the bottom. We'll give this about 2 more minutes in interactivity. Anonymous Ram just dropped talent management as a high impact, and it would take a lot of months. Diplomacy, very interesting. Ooh, patience. Wow, yes, definitely a skill that I could acquire and would take me a lot of time. So whoever dropped that there, I totally relate to you. So let's go ahead and hop back into the presentation. Thank you all so much for participating. I'm loving just the quick eagerness to want to skill up. And I loved all the anonymous animals that were just ready to participate. Thank you so much. And I'm going to now pass the ball back to Aaron.
Thanks, Auburn. Great activity. Again, we want this to be really interactive. So please, not only just with the exercises, any questions, please throw them our way. Any comments, please throw them our way. So curation, we talked about what it is. We talked about how it's defined. Now we want to talk about how we make it happen. So when you look at EdFlex, our proprietary learning curation platform, it's a database with more than 15,000 referenced resources. So how do we define a reference resource? It's a podcast, it's a scholarly article, it's a video, it's, a TED Talk. It's elements of educational learning that we've identified as supportive of the non-traditional adult learner. And what we've done is we've taken it through this process that you see here. So our team of expert curators They assess and qualify resources provided by AI crawlers and associated content editors. So what does that mean? That means that we have a really spectacular and unique mix of both AI and human expertise working in tandem to collaboratively and jointly pull information, review information, score information, qualify the information, and deliver the information in a digestible format so that learners can find what they need, digest the content, and move on. You see here, you have the AI and the crawlers, we have content editors, and then we have 250,000 learner reviews. What sometimes is beneficial, and we see this through food apps that we may have, is we want to know what our peers are saying about the restaurant, about the quality of the food, about the interior, the decor, whatever the case may be. It's one thing to get an academic approach, it's another to get a peer approach. So not only do we combine AI and human to validate that the content is really extraordinary and special and unique and up to date and valuable and pertinent to what the learner is looking to learn, but you also have the ability to see what your peers and your colleagues are saying about the content as well. So it's a detailed description and categorization, and it's an opinion ranking as well. It's multiple different facets that makes EdFlex so unique, and there really isn't anything like it on the market that does such a great job of combining artificial intelligence and human expert curators. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it back off to Ashley, who's going to jump into the next phase of the presentation. So Ashley, back over to you.
Alrighty, thanks, Aaron. So we're going to hop into another story. I know everyone's super excited. So now we have Jimmy. So Jimmy is VP of Sales in an organization called Learner Mutual, which is in the insurance industry. So James has an amazing team. They really love the industry. Even though it's really difficult, their team is excelling, breaking all quotas, exceeding all goals each year since 2019. So we're meeting the dream team. So this is the team of the sales superstars that are working under Jimmy. So we have Jason, Debbie, and Max. So they're all high achievers. They come from different backgrounds, but they all complement each other and work really well together. So James is currently working on the new compensation structure, getting ready to distribute bonuses. He's been directing sales teams for more than 7 years and can really do it with his eyes closed. Then we have the coronavirus, which happened. And as of March 13th, his team is now working remotely. So since his team started working remotely, sales have started slowing down, and the organization is expecting to lose more than 30% during Q2. Besides the crisis, he's holding off on distributing bonuses, and commissions are on hold, and this is something that has never happened before, unprecedented in the organization. So one of these sales superstars is having a really difficult time handling the stress. He is very vocal about his goals being hindered and the bonus payment being delayed. And he starts to lose focus and becomes more verbally frustrated with what's going on. So James is starting to really feel the pressure as well. He's not just missing his numbers, but he's really losing touch on his group of superstars. So he reaches out to the HR department of his organization to see if there's any resources that they can support him with. So his HR department recommends leveraging a personalized learning path from a learning curation platform. So James starts working through courses and watching sales videos and working to improve his performance as a manager. Looking at some of the things that he was looking at. Then we find that Debbie is also upset, another one of the sales superstars, about the way that the opportunities are being distributed, the ones that are coming in. So she talks to Max, another one of her sales teams, about it, just to go over her frustrations. And it's really clear that the team is struggling with maintaining their cohesiveness together due to all their frustrations. So James is really trying everything. Sales are improving, but his team is still really struggling with working remotely and just not working cohesively anymore. So Max, the third superstar, gives James a call and reminds him about a platform that he leveraged earlier in the year to reach one of his really difficult goals. So he focused on skilling up using a platform where he looked at videos, articles, and podcasts to really hone in on his skills and reach that difficult goal. So he connected with James to go over some opportunities to leverage that platform and also leverage the lifelong learning score that comes with the platform to use it as a competitive advantage to the platform and keep everyone motivated. And also they could go over some soft skills that could help motivate the team. So James takes a look at some of the previous training reports that are in the system, starts setting some new training goals for his team to try to get them back on track. And then 4 weeks later, looking back, James was able to motivate his team with this platform and add a little competition using that lifelong learning score to keep them motivated even though sales have been difficult. He upskilled with his coaching and management skills and increased his emotional intelligence skills, and also supported his team in upskilling themselves. So Jason is continuing to lead the pack. He's very driven and stable, no longer frustrated. Debbie's hitting her targets and is super happy. And Max is happy that everyone is happy. So a very happy team, back to being cohesive and back to being super on track with their sales records once we go back to normal. Okay, so now I'm going to hop into our learning path. So this is one of the resources that was offered complimentary after the first webinar, and we'll also include it after this webinar. So I'm just gonna hop into that and show you, I know we've been discussing it a lot, so just to show you what that looks like and how someone might be able to upskill themselves using that. So I'm just gonna touch on this quickly. So it's a formal aspect of informal learning. So going through a learning path, you have access to resources, quizzes, final quiz, and a certification. So you can work on your skills here, focusing on working remotely. So this is something that teams can leverage to organize themselves and develop their skills while working remotely. So you can see we have various skills and different resources for the skills. So I'm going to click into one of these resources. And we can click directly on a resource and start consuming that. I'm going to hop back into the presentation. Give me 1 second. Alrighty. And we are on to the final story. So we have Thomas. So Thomas is 35 and he is in technical sales at an organization called BioSoft, which is in the biotech industry. So Tom, as I said, is a technical sales rep, studied engineering, and really loves sales. He joined BioSoft with his friend Derek about 2 years ago. Tom regularly meets with Linda. Linda, as seen here, is the training manager, and she's explaining to him that they're implementing a new learning curation platform to complement their corporate university and their formal training. So they're integrating some informal within their formal learning platform and environment. And Tom has always been interested in continuous education, so he's really excited about this platform and the ability to skill up on anything that he might want to skill up on. Then coronavirus happens. So all the technical sales teams are sent to work from home, and Tom and Derek are still on the team, but they're both working remotely. So we have Derek on the left and Tom on the right. So Derek is very charismatic, a great salesperson, but he doesn't really find time for training. Tom is very competitive, but a genuine team player. And as I said before, really, really likes to continually focus on honing in his skills and practicing his skills. So during the first 3 weeks of quarantining and working remotely, Tom keeps up with his sales and finds time to leverage the learning curation platform to look for videos, podcasts, and resources to help him work on his performance. So during the training, he enrolls in a management course with a specialty in biotechnology so that he can really work on focusing on his biotechnology background skills. So Tom gets noticed. Linda sends him a message and lets him know that she sees his scores and what he's working on within the platform, and that she's impressed, and she recommends a specific path for him to focus on within the platform. After a few months, the teams return to their operations, and Tom is called in by the COO to offer him a promotion to head of technical sales, and Tom gladly accepts. Tom continues to be an amazing leader, willing to help and learn from others, and is constantly focusing on skilling up within the platform and also helping his team skill up within the platform. So always assigning things and focusing on lifelong learning for his entire team. Derek and Tom are still friends, but unfortunately, Derek is still confused as to why Tom was offered the head of that department. And so he's starting to understand why lifelong learning and focusing on upskilling is important. A little update on Tom. 2 years later, Tom was promoted to VP of Sales for all commercial divisions. He's still using EdFlex, and he is super happy, loving scooters. And then 1 year later, just a wrap up, again became VP of Sales and Marketing. He's leading a group of experts who are also lifelong learners. And he actually designed his own specific learning path for his high achievers within the EdFlex platform to help his team continually skill up and drive that growth within the organization. And Derek is still the best technical sales agent on his team, but he has still yet to have a promotion because he still hasn't quite found the time to focusing on skilling up. So just kind of an overview of those 3 stories before I hand it back off over to Aaron. So these 3 stories really focused on how curation can support different experiences, different roles, different people across organizations during this time. We know everyone has been significantly affected, but we absolutely have the ability to support lifelong learning across all organizations, roles, to help people skill up during this time. So Aaron, I will bring you in to wrap it up.
Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, during these challenging times, our heart goes out to everyone who's impacted. There's no question about that. And, at no point are we making light of the situation. What we wanted to do is highlight, using 3 different examples of what can be done during this complex, uncertain time, to be able to learn, to upskill, and to challenge your own perceptions about what learning can be while you figure out what is next. So we hope that you see a little bit of yourselves in one of these characters, maybe 1 or 2 of these characters. And this is, we would like to challenge you to look at learning in a different way, look at curation in a different way, and think about the ways that you want to upskill, think about the ways that you want to improve. It doesn't have to be substantive and tied to your current line of work. It could be, level of communication or how you interact with others. So just be thoughtful about and be receptive to how learning can be viewed differently and how content creation could help facilitate that process. A couple tangible benefits that we want to speak to directly. So with all the business interruption that's happening now, to bring on a clunky system and to cause more disruption would not be beneficial for anyone. You need to find a platform that's easily and seamlessly integrated with the existing learning ecosystem. So that can integrate with your learning management system or your learning experience platform or with your HRIS. However you want to integrate, it has to be easy, it has to be seamless. We have to eliminate clunky, we have to eliminate business interruption. Look, talking about actionable guidance, it's not enough to put a platform in front of your team to give an hour or 2 of training and then to have them go off on their own to figure out how to learn and continue to learn from the platform. What has to happen is we have to make available resources around the clock, because learning never stops and we have to meet learners where they are. If a learner needs support at 9:30 p.m. after they just fed their families and now it's time to kind of sit down and do some reflection and do some growing and learning, one thing that you can do is lean on an expert, lean on a curator whenever that time is. So for some people that's 9:30 at night, for some people that's 6:30 in the morning. If your platform doesn't allow for that type of flexibility, then it's missing a really important element. Ashley touched upon the lifelong learning score, arguably one of the most important functionalities of our platform. What the lifelong learning score does is it's a tangible way of someone to be able to see what their path has been and what it can be as they digest more and more content that's available through the platform. So you start off, and depending on what type of resource you select, if it's a course, a 6-week course, that will impact your learning score one way. If it's a short digestible video, it'll impact your score another way. Higher amounts of points are awarded to more intense learning objects. But the idea is that everything is a building block, whether it's small, whether it's large. You'll see through your lifelong learning score what your path and what your trajectory is. Being able to have that gamification element of having badges and certificates is something that's important. It may seem childish or sophomoric, but it's actually really important to each person's growth is to visually be able to see what they've earned along the way. So if we take away 3 tangible benefits to a curation platform or an expert curation platform, easily and seamlessly integrated, actionable guidance when and where users need such guidance, and focus and keen influence that the lifelong learning score will have on someone's pride in what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how they continue to move forward. Going back to the slide we referenced a little bit earlier, right? We want to do a little bit of math. Most people don't like math, some people do. For those who do, the slide's for you. So we talked about the fact that 9.3 hours per week of searching for information is what the average employee does, which again equates to about 23% of time spent. If you take an average annual corporate salary in the United States of about $60,000 and you take the 23%, which is attributed to people searching unnecessarily for information that could be found at their fingertips, you're looking at a total of $13,800 per employee per year. You don't have to answer this out loud, but the question I'd pose to all of you is, how many employees do you have at your organizations? Take the 13,800, multiply it by the number of employees, and now put aside the altruistic goal of upskilling and the altruistic goal of people growing and learning and becoming more proficient and being better communicators. That's really the core of it. But from a business perspective, look at the financial outcomes, right? Look at what happens when you take that 9.3 hours a week and you shrink it to 6 hours, to 4 hours, to 2 hours. That has a meaningful impact on revenue for the company, on productivity for an employee. It's very, very important. So altruistic is one piece and the most important piece. The secondary piece is the financial impact that this has. If you have the right learning curation platform, the 9.3 hours can begin to shrink by employee, and now we see what that means financially. So then the question is, where do we go from here? So what's next, right? We covered material, we covered what learning curation platforms can do, we covered what learning curation is. What's next? So everyone who participated today, we're going to be emailing you, if you provide your email, the TMI Training in the Era of Data Access Content Curation Guide. It's a wonderful resource. We encourage you. It's free. It's complimentary. We're going to be sending it out to you. Please review it. Take a look. See what you think. If you have any questions, any follow-up, anything we can guide you through, come back to us. You know how to reach us. And also, for everyone who provides your email, additional information will be provided on how you can contact Ashley and myself as well. Feel free to reach out to both of us, either or. And we'd be happy to provide additional information on top of this complimentary resource that we're going to be sending to you. And then most importantly, maybe most importantly, I think everything's really important. So important. Please tune in next week for the 3rd installment of our training web series, Training for the New Normal, How Learning Experience Platforms Are Driving Next Gen Training, which is going to be led again by Christian Rivera. You're going to be, it's going to be a wonderful session. Christian's really exceptional. He's our director of solutions and understands the intricacies of learning experience platforms and why finding the right learning experience platform will drive the next generation of training, in addition to what learning curation platforms have already begun to start doing in the way of upskilling and learning. Now I'd like to pass it off to Ashley. What we want to do now is we want to open it up to questions. We want to open up to comments, and Ashley can lead us here. Auburn, maybe you want to chime in on how people can use the chat window, or if they want to speak, happy to pass it off.
Yeah, because who needs a hotline when we have IMA? So if you, I don't see any questions right now in the Q&A box, which is fine if you're shy. But if you all want to write any questions you might have in the chat, we'll kind of hang out here for maybe a couple more minutes, wait for some of those questions to come in. If you don't want to talk to your family, you can talk to us. If you don't want to talk to your family, bring them in for some questions. But yeah, please, if you all have anything you want to know, drop it in the chat. I kind of do miss that though, when people had to call in like the hotline, like, hey.
Very different times.
Oh, awesome. From anonymous attendee, any best practice on how to communicate and advertise a tool like Edflex in a company who has never used something like it before? That's a great question.
Absolutely. So Ashley, I'm happy to field this, or you can jump in, whichever. Okay, great. I'll take a first stab at it, and you can fill in everything I missed, okay?
That's good.
It's a great question. Adoption is key. Communication is key. Transparency about processes and why something's being brought on is key. So the why, I think, is the most important piece. So what would typically happen when we engage with clients or prospective clients who don't have a content curation platform is we want them to experience it. So we always go through a demo process, but really we want to let them play in the instance, see it, touch it, feel it, see what the tangible benefits are. Going through a customized demo process is really helpful so that they can visualize with their color schemes, with their logo, with their intended outcomes, with their types of courses that they think that they'll be providing to their employees, what that actually looks like. Our solutions team is always very happy to do that, to skin an instance, to walk a client through what it would look like for them and how it would feel for them, and then what the communication plan would be once an organization looks to move forward with the learning curation platform. Is you want a key team of early adopters, right? People who are leaders within the organization, who are transformative, who are innovative, who can buy into this and help to evangelize, right? So that's one of the best things to do. It shouldn't be sold to by one individual. It should be adopted by everyone because of the skills and abilities that can be gained, but that has to be communicated internally. We also have the ability to support the communication effort by putting out informational emails. We would be happy to support webinars. We can help you understand how you can do your own webinars. The whole idea is that it's so easy to adopt and use. We want to be able to give it to you, you license the platform, and then you can own the entire ecosystem from there, obviously with support from our content curators and from the AI engine behind it. But the idea is that it's so easy and intuitive to use, it's going to be pretty understandable from the general public on what the benefit is. But again, we're happy to work with you on communication plans. We're happy to do informational webinars. We're happy to do email marketing. We're happy to support you however you deem appropriate. But really, the early adopter team is really, really, really important. Ashley, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's exactly what I would say. The key thing is in ensuring you have management buy-in, so not just having them throw it out, making sure that there's that they're really leveraging the tool and supporting their team and using the tool. So having it be a holistic approach like that, and having internal cheerleaders, so the people that really love it and are driving that engagement are really important.
So the questions are coming in hot. The second
Amazing.
one is, any advice for senior leaders on how to balance their own and their team's time for informal learning with a tool like Edflex?
Ashley, you want to respond to that?
No, you got it.
I think it's a phenomenal question. It's actually a complex process. It's not as easy as you have the tool, so now you want your team to use it. We all have day jobs. We all have responsibilities. We all have tasks. We all have deadlines. It's not so easy to just say, you have this tool and now we want you to use it, because there are impacts, right? And it's not as simple as use it at home, because people have responsibilities there too. I think it's about the culture, and it's something that we talked about early in the process. If a senior leader at an organization can create the type of learning culture that supports this type of learning, I think the team will take the cue from the senior leaders and senior learners at the organization, leaders and learners, and say, okay, this is supported by my senior leadership team. This is something that's important to them. It's now going to be important to me. I see why this is going to be beneficial to my personal growth, my professional growth, and I want to do this. Now I need to look at my calendar and carve out 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Maybe start my day a little bit earlier, maybe end my day a little bit later. But if the senior leaders at the organization can communicate effectively what the benefit will be, not only to the individual, but to the organization, then people will take it seriously and take time to delve in. It's not just about the individual, it's about the organizations as a whole, which is why we partner with large organizations to implement this, system-wide. So I think what I would say is it starts with the senior leaders to communicate to the team that this is something that is supported, that we know we have other responsibilities, but each individual's growth will lead to long-term and sustained growth and profitability for the organizations if people continue to upskill.
And I think just to add to that, I think something important is the ability to have different choices and preferences. So with a lot of these platforms, including our platform, they have the ability to choose what type of resource they want to consume. So whether it's an article, which might be shorter, a podcast, which might be a little bit longer, but they can do other things in the background. So identify what resource makes sense based on what their week looks like. So they don't have to necessarily dive right into a course if there's a lot of things going on at work that they can't take 20 minutes out of their day. They could take 5 minutes out of every morning and read through an article. And then when there's a little bit more time, they can start leveraging a course. So I think the ability to have different preferences and choices based on what they're working on is really important, and based on what they like. So some users we find don't like podcasts, it's too distracting, and they really love watching a quick video. So having the ability to look at how long the resource will take and make a decision based on that is super important.
It's a great point, Ashley, and that how that filter process works within the platform is so easy to use, so that you can say, okay, I'm looking for a video and I want it to be less than 5 minutes. Boom, you're able to plug that in and then get the resource you need and then continue on with your day. I think it's a great point. We got a really great question from Fatima that, Ashley, I think is perfect for you because of how closely you work with all of the learners at our partner organizations. And the question, it just disappeared, Auburn.
Oh.
It disappeared. The question was, how do you engage learners within this digital learning path? How do you get them to engage into the learning path process within the platform? So Ashley, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say it's really about whether you want to have a formal approach or informal approach. So the learning paths are a little bit more of a formal approach to learning. So giving them that structured approach. So you can either ask them to look at certain topics within the platform, or let them kind of decide their own fate or decide what they want to work on. Or you can assign specific learning paths. So that's something that you can assign. And then you can leverage the lifelong learning score as a management tool. You can leverage the certifications as a management tool, and really just work on supporting your team, but also being accountable with their learning throughout the platform. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Aaron?
No, I think that was great. Fatima, does that answer the question that you have? You can answer in the chat if
Mm-hmm.
that question. I think that sounded great, but maybe there's something more that you want us to expound upon.
And there's various ways to support your team. So there's a leaderboard. So if you want to have a kind of a leaderboard approach with your team, you can do that. So have a little healthy competition. Or if you're just looking to really focus on helping your team upskill in certain areas, you can focus on that. So there can be different ways that you leverage the platform and the gamification of the platform. It just depends on how your team's motivated and how your team is structured. And we're happy to support on coming up with different ideas as to that as well. We've had organizations include some sort of reward system or just leverage that gamification. So there's different things that can be done. Hopefully that answered.
Yeah, I
of
think
course.
I think
Auburn,
that wraps it up for the questions. I'm just seeing if anybody else has anything. Oh, she said thank you. You're
Thanks, Fatima.
welcome, Fatima. I think that's it, unless we get any last minute ones.
No?
Oh, follow-up question. Oh, just kidding, just kidding.
Okay, so I want to say on behalf of myself and Ashley, thank you all very much for joining us. As Auburn alluded to, there are a multitude of webinars out there, right? Especially given the circumstances. We appreciate you joining ours. We hope it was informative. Please feel free if you have any questions, whether it's about content curation, whether it's about the EdFlex platform, whether it's about anything learning and development related. We'd love to engage with you. We'd love to interact with you. So please feel free to reach out to us. If we don't have the exact answer to what you're looking for, we have a really skilled team of instructional designers, e-learning experts, multimedia experts, platform experts. So we'd love to connect you with members of our team who can walk you through anything that you're looking to discuss. So want to also say, please tune in for episode number 3, which will be on April 30th at 2 p.m. And we'll send out more information, and we'll send out that free resource to everyone who participated today. Thank you all so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.